It's been a while since we've been back to Salt Spring Island. Last year was honestly just chaos between travel, client projects, and trying to keep up with everything we had going on. We never made it over. So today felt a little bit like coming back to an old favorite. Of course, we had Zeus coming too. We headed to the ferry first thing in the morning and lucked out with the weather. One thing about filming homes is that we don't always get to pick the perfect time of day. We work around homeowner schedules, agent schedules. So while sunset and sunrise are amazing, sometimes it's just about showing up and making the most of whatever the day gives you. We headed to our first shoot. Normally Randee meets us there, but she wasn't feeling great today and decided to stay home and rest. One thing I've noticed about Salt Spring is that everything feels a little slower. Even on days when we have a lot to do, I never feel quite as rushed over here or stressed. And the homes are also different. They're not trying to be perfect. They've got character. They've got these little quirks. This first place had so many corners and spaces that made me stop for a second and look around. And maybe this sounds weird, but I pay way more attention to sound when I'm filming on Salt Spring. Every place seems to have its own soundtrack. Birds, wind through the trees, leaves moving around, distant sheep, goats, whatever. There's always something. While Lee headed off to get drone footage and photos outside, I started setting up my gimbal and figuring out how I wanted to approach the video. Lately, I've really been enjoying more static shots. I know movement is great, and there will always be homes that call for those big sweeping gimbal shots, but sometimes slowing things down feels right. I don't really walk into a place with a shot list. I let the space tell me what it needs. Sometimes that's a lot of movement. Sometimes it's just standing still and letting the moment breathe. Once I wrapped inside, Lee took over to do photos, and I got to wander around collecting all my favorite little details. Sunlight coming through the trees, flowers moving in the breeze. Tiny moments most people probably wouldn't notice, but they're the things that make a place feel alive. Before long, it was time to head to the second shoot. We were greeted by the homeowner and her very sweet senior dog, which immediately made my day, and Zeus's, and Lee's. After a quick walkthrough, she left us to do our thing. This place was big enough that Lee and I could split up and work from opposite ends, which is always helpful when you're trying to make the most of your time. So we settled into our usual routine. Me filming, Lee shooting photos, both of us occasionally yelling questions across the house. A few hours later, we had everything we needed and it was time to pack up, which meant there was only one thing left to worry about, which is making the ferry. This is just a thing on Salt Spring. You just don't know. Once you pull up, and if you haven't made it past this one sign where it says where you're going to make it, it's time to worry. And that's kind of what happened with us. We didn't make it past that sign and we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to wait 2 more hours, which actually would turn into a 3-hour wait. But it all worked out. We ended up being the second to last on the ferry that we were hoping to get. A huge thank you to Randee Wilson for trusting us to capture these homes. Be sure to have a look out for them as they will be hitting the market soon.